What if the secret to truly living isn't about avoiding death, but about embracing it? It may sound uncomfortable at first. We spend most of our lives pushing away thoughts of mortality, filling our days with distractions, rushing from one task to another, convincing ourselves that tomorrow is guaranteed. Yet the ancient Stoics taught a principle that seems at first glance contradictory. Memento Mori, remember that you will die, not as a grim obsession, but as a profound reminder of what it means to live. When we hear these words, many recoil. Isn't it depressing to think about death? Isn't it morbid to hold such an image in the mind? But the Stoics, along with monks, poets, and sages throughout history, saw it differently. For them, memento mori was not a fixation on loss, but a catalyst for gratitude. Not a shadow over life, but a light that made every detail glow more brightly. By keeping mortality in view, they discovered a way to live more deeply, more intentionally, and more freely. This is where we begin our journey. Imagine waking up tomorrow, opening your eyes to the early light, and realizing with startling clarity that this could be your last sunrise. How would you move through the day? Would you rush through your breakfast, scrolling mindlessly through a feed? Or would you pause, feeling the warmth of the coffee in your hands, noticing the beauty in something as simple as the sound of a bird outside your window? This is the paradox at the heart of Memento Mori. To accept impermanence is to awaken to the miracle of what is already here. To contemplate an ending is to discover the infinite richness of the present. It is not death we meditate on, but life sharpened and illuminated by its fragile boundaries. The phrase itself, memento mori, comes from Latin, remember you must die. It echoed through Roman streets, whispered in the ears of emperors during their triumphs. Imagine a victorious general returning home, paraded through the city, the crowd roaring his name, and behind him a servant would murmur, memento mori, a quiet reminder that no matter the glory, the wealth, the power, the same fate awaited him as it did every other soul. It was not meant to belittle his success, but to keep him grounded in humility, in perspective, and in gratitude. The Stoics, philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius made this practice central to their lives. They saw death not as an enemy to be feared, but as a teacher, guiding them toward what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." These were not words of despair, but of clarity, a call to strip away the trivial and live authentically right now. But this idea did not belong only to the Stoics. Centuries later, monks in medieval Europe practiced what they called the art of dying well. They kept skulls on their desks, painted frescoes of skeletons, and composed poetry about fleeting time, not because they were obsessed with death, but because they believed that only by facing it could they live with honesty. Even artists and writers of the Renaissance embraced this wisdom, painting vanitas still life's bowls of fruit alongside burning candles and wilting flowers, reminders that beauty fades, time passes, and nothing material lasts forever. This was not meant to paralyze people with fear, but to awaken them to wonder, to encourage them to cherish the sweetness of an apple while it is ripe, to treasure a friendship while it is alive, to pour themselves into the present moment because it alone is real. Fast forward to today, to our fast-paced, digitally distracted world of 2025. We are constantly connected, endlessly scrolling, drowning in notifications, chasing after the illusion that time is abundant. Death is hidden away, rarely spoken of, almost considered impolite. Our culture sells us permanence, endless youth, unlimited productivity, infinite tomorrows. And yet, beneath the surface, we feel it, the anxiety, the restlessness, the sense that something essential is slipping through our fingers. We plan for retirement decades away, but forget to notice the laughter at the dinner table tonight. We chase likes and views on a glowing screen, but forget to look at the stars burning silently overhead. We pile up possessions, but neglect the conversations and experiences that would truly shape our souls. This is the illusion of immortality, and it comes at a cost. When we deny impermanence, we live half asleep, drifting, numbing ourselves with routine, assuming we will always have time. But Memento Mori cuts through this illusion like a blade. It says, wake up, look around. The only guarantee is this breath, this heartbeat, this moment. And that is enough to live fully. Think of the people you love most. If you truly remembered that your time with them is limited, would you hold grudges as long as you do? Would you let anger or pride stand between you? Or would you reach out sooner, forgive faster, say, I love you without hesitation? Think of your passions, the dreams you carry quietly in the back of your mind. If you knew your days were finite, which they are, would you keep postponing them? Would you wait for the perfect conditions, or would you start today with whatever you have? Memento Mori doesn't make life smaller, it makes life larger. It dissolves the illusion of infinite tomorrows, so we can finally step into the truth of today. And so we begin this lesson with a paradox that is not morbid, but life-giving. The Stoics and monks understood something we have forgotten in our distracted age. By remembering death, we remember life. By accepting impermanence, we awaken to presence. And by holding our mortality in view, we find a compass for what truly matters. We will explore this illusion of immortality more deeply. We'll challenge the ways modern culture hides death from us, and the consequences this avoidance brings into our daily lives. More importantly, we'll uncover how reclaiming awareness of mortality can help us rediscover joy in the simplest, most ordinary moments. For now, pause, take a breath, feel it move through you. This is life, impermanent, fragile, and beautiful. Remember that you will die, not to despair, but to live. Yet in our modern world, we have done everything we can to forget this truth. We hide death away, tucking it into hospitals, sanitizing it, shielding our eyes from it. We surround ourselves with glowing screens, endless noise, and an unspoken promise that there will always be another tomorrow. Without even realizing it, we begin to live as though we are immortal. We fall into the illusion that time stretches on forever, and in doing so we begin to waste it. This is the illusion of immortality, not a literal belief that we will never die, but a quiet assumption that our days will keep rolling forward without end. We push our dreams into the future. One day I'll travel there. One day I'll write that book. One day I'll mend that broken relationship. We say these things with certainty, as though one day is a guarantee rather than a fragile hope. And so life slips past us. We wake up to years that have gone by, wondering where the time went, shocked by how quickly children grew, how fast our own reflection changed in the mirror, how suddenly opportunities have closed. We are surprised, yet it is the most natural thing in the world. Time was never infinite. We only lived as if it was. Social media intensifies this illusion. We scroll endlessly, caught in a current of noise, feeding on updates, distractions, and comparisons. Hours vanish, then days, then months. The digital world whispers, "There is no urgency. Keep scrolling. There will always be more." But will there? Behind the glowing screens, the clock keeps ticking. The sun keeps setting. Our lives continue their steady movement toward an unseen horizon. And while we distract ourselves with trivialities, we miss the small joys that matter most. The laughter of a friend, the touch of a loved one's hand, the beauty of a sunset outside our own window. The Stoics warned of this. Seneca, in his letter on the shortness of life, wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." He spoke these words 2,000 years ago, yet they ring louder than ever in our age of constant distraction. We think we are cheated by time, but the truth is, we squander it. We act as though life is endless, but in reality, it is slipping away every moment. We measure our lives not in years lived, but in years wasted, and only at the end do we recognize how much of it was spent on things that did not matter. Think about how rarely we speak of death in our daily conversations. We treat it as taboo, something morbid, something to be avoided. In our language, in our culture, in our entertainment, death is often either hidden or trivialized. We replace genuine reflection with shallow diversions. But pretending death is distant does not make it go away. It only robs us of the wisdom it offers. When we avoid death, we avoid life. When we deny impermanence, we deny ourselves the urgency to live with purpose. The illusion of immortality may feel comfortable, but it slowly numbs us, making us passive, unfocused, and distracted. Let's pause and imagine. Picture yourself holding a single glass of water. If you believe there is an endless supply behind you, you might drink carelessly, even spill it without thought. But if you knew this was the last glass of water you would ever hold, how carefully would you savor it? How deeply would you feel the coolness on your tongue, the refreshment in your body? Life is the same. Believing in endless tomorrows makes us careless. Remembering that our days are limited transforms each one into something precious. In our avoidance, we also delay reconciliation. We think we have endless time to say sorry, to forgive, to heal wounds. But many discover too late that the chance has passed. A phone call unmade, a word unsaid, a hug postponed until later. Later never arrives. The illusion of immortality convinces us that there will always be time, but reality reminds us there may not. So what does this mean for us here and now? It means learning to see through the fog of distractions, the false promises of endless time. It means pulling back the curtain on the illusion of immortality and facing life with clear, unflinching eyes. The irony is that once we see this clearly, we don't become fearful, we become free. Recognizing that time is limited does not trap us in despair. Instead, it awakens us to the urgency of presence. Suddenly, the ordinary moments become extraordinary. The taste of food becomes richer, the sound of music deeper, the touch of a friend's hand more meaningful. This is the awakening that Memento Mori offers, and it begins by confronting the illusion that has held us asleep for so long. So ask yourself, how much of your life is being consumed by the false comfort of tomorrow? How many dreams have you delayed? How many moments have you missed simply because you assumed there would be endless chances? The truth is, there is no endless supply. There is only today and the choices you make within it. As we continue this journey, we will learn how to embrace impermanence not as a burden, but as a gift. In the next lesson, we will explore how acknowledging endings, far from filling us with fear, actually deepens our appreciation for the present. We will discover practices and simple daily habits to bring Memento Mori into our lives gently, without dread. For now, take a breath. Look around you. Remember that time is not infinite. And in that awareness, let gratitude rise for the miracle of this very moment. Because once we begin to see time as fragile and finite, the next step is learning to embrace impermanence, not as a curse, but as a gift. This is the paradox at the core of Stoic wisdom. When we acknowledge that everything ends, we stop clinging and start living. Most of us spend our lives trying to resist change, trying to hold on to what is slipping through our fingers. We fear endings, goodbyes, transitions. Yet what if these endings are not enemies, but reminders that every moment matters? Think of a flower. It blooms radiant and delicate for only a short time. If flowers lasted forever, would we stop to notice them? Would their beauty strike us so deeply? It is precisely because the petals will fall that the blossom is so breathtaking. Impermanence does not diminish life, it amplifies it. This shift in perspective is transformative. Instead of resisting change, we learn to welcome it. Instead of fearing loss, we learn to appreciate presence. Every hello contains within it a goodbye. Every sunrise carries the promise of night. And far from being depressing, this rhythm is what gives life its music. Without endings, there would be no meaning. Without impermanence, there would be no urgency to love, to create, to live. The Stoics practiced this perspective daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." He did not mean we should live recklessly. He meant we should live attentively, with a heart tuned to the reality that today is not guaranteed. And that is exactly why today is precious. But how do we bring this into our own lives without fear? How can we hold impermanence in our minds without it weighing us down? The answer lies in small daily habits, gentle reminders that guide us back into the present moment. Start with something simple. Pause once each day to remind yourself, this could be my last sunrise, my last conversation, my last walk. Not to frighten yourself, but to awaken yourself. Notice how the air feels on your skin. Notice the tone of your friend's laughter. Notice the way sunlight falls on the ground. These details, overlooked in distraction, suddenly shine with a new light. Another practice is gratitude. At the end of each day, Reflect on what you are thankful for, as if you may never see it again. Gratitude softens our fear of endings because it reminds us that we have already received a gift. Instead of clinging, we give thanks. Instead of resenting change, we honor what has been. Consider stories of transformation. Many people who face serious illness or brush against death describe a sudden awakening, a clarity that sweeps away the trivial. They begin to cherish the smallest details, the sound of rain, the warmth of touch, the sweetness of an ordinary day. They stop postponing their dreams. They forgive more quickly. They love more openly. It is not that their lives suddenly became easier. It is that impermanence shattered the illusion of infinite time, and what remained was presence. We do not need to wait for tragedy to awaken us. We can choose to practice this awareness now. By gently reminding ourselves of life's fragility, we invite the same transformation without the shock of crisis. We can live with our eyes open, our hearts grateful, and our days intentional. Think again of your own life. How often do you rush through moments without seeing them? How often do you assume that the people around you will always be there, that opportunities will always return? What if instead you embraced impermanence as your teacher? Every conversation becomes more valuable, every meal more delicious, every sunrise a miracle. By shifting our perspective, we stop living in the haze of assumption and start living in the clarity of reality. This is not about constant meditation on death. It is about cultivating presence in life. Impermanence is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. It makes joy more vibrant, connections more meaningful, and experiences more profound. The sooner we welcome this truth, the sooner we can live fully. So let impermanence guide you. Let it remind you that nothing lasts forever, and in that reminder, discover the freedom to cherish what is here, right now. In the next lesson, we will take this awareness one step further. We will explore how embracing impermanence empowers us to live with intent and purpose, how it helps us overcome procrastination, prioritize what matters, and shape a legacy worth leaving. For now, breathe deeply, feel the fragility of this moment, and let it fill you with gratitude. Impermanence is not a threat, it is a gift. And when you embrace it, life opens before you in ways you never imagined. And the natural next question becomes, how do I live now that I know time is limited? Awareness alone is not enough. To recognize impermanence is powerful, but it must shape the way we live. Otherwise, it remains only a thought, quickly fading into the background. The gift of Memento Mori is not just clarity, it is action. It is about aligning our choices with what truly matters, so that each day is lived with intent and purpose. Think for a moment about how easy it is to get lost in the trivial. We spend hours chasing things that bring little fulfillment. Possessions, status, recognition, the constant pull of digital noise. We push aside meaningful experiences, a conversation, a walk, a chance to create, for things that promise more but deliver less. Impermanence calls us back. It whispers, "You do not have forever. Choose wisely." Living with intent begins by asking, what is essential? The Stoics believed that virtue, relationships, and the growth of the soul were far more important than wealth or fame. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that he was not promised tomorrow, so today must be used for what is good, what is just, what is meaningful. For us, this might mean prioritizing relationships over material accumulation. A new gadget might excite us for a week, but a meaningful conversation with someone we love can linger in our hearts for years. Experiences, not possessions, are what shape our identity and leave behind a true legacy. And yet, how often do we procrastinate on what matters most? How many times have you delayed a dream, saying, "I'll do it later"? How often have you avoided speaking your heart, waiting for the right time? Impermanence strips away this illusion. There is no later, only now. The longer we delay, the more opportunities slip quietly away. Procrastination is a thief, but awareness of mortality is its cure. When we remember that our time is finite, we stop waiting for perfection and begin with what we have. We write the first page, we make the first call, we take the first step. Action, not delay, is the mark of a life lived with intent. This is where legacy comes into focus. Legacy is not about monuments or fame. It is about the quiet impact of how we live, the way our actions ripple outward into the lives of others. Every kindness, every word of encouragement, every choice to live authentically plants seeds that will grow beyond us. Ask yourself, what do I want to leave behind? Not in terms of wealth or recognition, but in terms of meaning. Do I want to be remembered for distraction and delay, or for courage and compassion? Do I want my legacy to be one of endless busyness or of presence and purpose? Living with intent does not mean rushing, nor does it mean filling every hour with achievement. It means aligning each day with what you truly value. It means saying no to what drains you and yes to what gives life. It means putting energy into growth, relationships, and contributions that matter while letting go of the superficial. The Stoics often wrote about aligning life with nature, which for them meant living simply, honestly, and in harmony with what is real. They believed that purpose is not found in external rewards, but in the integrity of our choices. When our actions match our values, peace follows. So how do we begin? Start small. Each morning, remind yourself, this day will not come again. What do I want to give it to? At night, reflect. Did I live today in alignment with what I value most? These gentle practices keep us from drifting and bring us back to purpose. Living with intent is not about squeezing productivity from every second. It is about living meaningfully, with clarity, with courage. It is about choosing presence over distraction, love over fear, action over delay. And so we return to impermanence, not as a source of fear, but as a guide. Because when we know that time is short, we no longer waste it on what does not matter. We invest it where it counts. We shape our days into something beautiful, something intentional, something worth remembering. Pause with me here. Consider your own life. Where are you spending your time? What are you postponing? And what, if embraced today, would fill your life with meaning? And so, as we leave behind the quiet discipline of simplicity, we arrive at a truth even deeper, that true freedom is not found in possessions, nor in status, nor even in circumstances. It is found within ourselves, in the mastery of our own minds. The Stoics believe that while the world around us may be unpredictable, even cruel at times, there is a realm that remains entirely ours, our inner freedom. Epictetus, once a slave, declared that although his body could be bound, his mind could never be enslaved unless he allowed it. This insight carries profound power, for it means that no matter where we are, no matter what befalls us, the deepest part of us cannot be touched without our consent. True liberation begins when we recognize this. Freedom is not doing whatever we please. It is not the indulgence of every impulse or desire. That kind of freedom, paradoxically, leads to chains of addiction, of endless craving, of dependency on external things. Stoic freedom is different. It is the ability to act with wisdom rather than compulsion, to remain steady when storms rise, and to choose our response even in the most challenging moments. Consider the lives we lead today. Surrounded by noise, distractions, and constant stimulation, many of us confuse choice with freedom. We think the ability to scroll endlessly, to purchase instantly, or to speak without pause is liberation. Yet often, these choices bind us more tightly than iron chains ever could. The more we depend on them, the less we are able to endure their absence. The Stoics invite us to turn inward, to find a freedom no algorithm can manipulate, no fortune can strip away, and no tyrant can touch. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we embrace this truth, life changes. We become less reactive, less easily provoked, less enslaved by our fears and desires. Instead, we begin to live deliberately, guided by reason and virtue rather than impulse. This is the freedom of the Stoic sage, a calm heart in chaos, a steady spirit in the whirlwind of life. Pause here for a moment. Ask yourself, where do I feel bound? What habits, fears, or cravings hold me prisoner? And then ask again, what would it mean to be free, truly free, in my own mind? This is not an abstract reflection. It is a daily practice. Each time we resist anger, we taste freedom. Each time we let go of envy, we loosen a chain. Each time we choose patience over irritation or courage over fear, we step closer to liberation. The world may still bring its storms, but the Stoic stands unshaken, for they have discovered that the deepest kind of freedom is already within, and once found, it can never be taken away. And now, dear listener, our journey through these Stoic lessons draws to a close. We began with the reminder of mortality, learning that awareness of death gives depth to life. We faced fear and saw how courage rises when we align with nature's flow. We embraced stillness as strength, simplicity as liberation, and now freedom as the highest gift we can give ourselves. Carry these lessons with you, not as abstract ideas, but as companions on your path. Let them guide you when life feels heavy, and remind you that peace, wisdom, and freedom are never far. They live in your choices, in your mind, and in the way you walk through each day. And before we part, I gently invite you, if this journey has spoken to your heart, if these reflections have brought you clarity or calm, I would be grateful if you shared your thoughts in the comments, left a like to support this work, and subscribed for more reflections like this. Together we can build a space of wisdom, stillness, and strength. Until we meet again, may you walk with courage, live with simplicity, and rest in the freedom within.